What's up, everyone? Chief Geek 3D here, back again, and today we're diving into what is now the third entry in the absolute dumpster fire that is the SignalGate saga. If you're new here, quick recap. In part 1, we covered the original signal misuse under Trump's first administration, broke down the cybersecurity risks, and even compared it to Obama's BlackBerry and Clinton's email server disasters. In part 2, we broke down the second leak, where Pete Hegseth's private Signal group chat included not just officials, but also his wife, his brother, and his personal attorney, none of whom were vetted, cleared, or on secure devices. Links to both of those videos are in the cards and the description. If you haven't watched them yet, definitely check those out, because today's update is yet another level of facepalm. And if you like deep dives like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out all my links below, from Mastodon to Blue Sky to my Discord. Alright, let's dive into the latest mess. So, the new development, dirty internet line, revealed. According to a new report from the Associated Press, Pete Hegseth, who was already part of the Signal Group's leaking war plans, was reportedly warned by another participant that his home internet connection was unsafe for discussing sensitive military operations. They even referred to it in their own messages as a, quote, dirty internet line, end quote. No VPN, no ZTNA, zero trust network access for those not familiar with that term, no proper segmentation, just plain consumer-grade home Wi-Fi. And what did Hegseth allegedly do? Ignored it. Kept using it anyway. You cannot make this up. This kind of thing would have gotten me fired in my own cybersecurity job. We're talking about discussions involving live Yemen strike planning, potentially coordinating military action, happening over what sounds like the equivalent of a Best Buy wireless router. No secure enclave, no encrypted government system, not even basic endpoint hardening. And now reports say the Department of Defense is investigating how bad the exposure might have been. And it turns out it's all worse than we thought. If you thought SignalGate was just about, oops, we used the wrong app, think again. This isn't just a misuse of Signal anymore. This is the complete collapse of basic operational security, OPSEC, fundamentals. Sensitive conversations being carried out over unverified, insecure networks, no proper device controls, private group chats treated as a shadow national security council, family members and personal attorneys added in like it's a fantasy football league, no vetting, no encryption beyond what Signal provides by default, no endpoint security, no identity and access management, nothing. And now, thanks to the Daily Beast, we know Pete Hegseth's personal Signal-connected phone number is all over the internet, exposed through past breaches, leaked databases, and open-source lookups, such as the National Public Data Breach and MC2 data breaches, which I've also talked about before, and you can find those links in the description below or the cards above. Which makes the next section we're about to discuss even more terrifying. The reality check, this is how people get hacked. Let's break this down clearly. Home routers get compromised all the time, especially when people leave default passwords, expose services to the internet, or let firmware updates lapse. Leaked phone numbers, like Pete Hegseth's, make SIM swapping attacks trivially easy. A threat actor can socially engineer a phone carrier into transferring the number and intercept SMS or even Signal re-authentication codes. And worse, even without SIM swapping, SS7, System Signaling 7 attacks are still possible. If you missed it, in my first SignalGate video, we discussed System Signaling 7, SS7, a decades-old telecom protocol that allows adversaries who gain access to it to intercept SMS, track device locations, hijack two-factor authentication, even temporarily take over Signal accounts by capturing their re-verification flow. SS7 was built for trusted carrier networks back in the 1970s, but in 2025, trust in the carrier ecosystem is laughable. It's shockingly vulnerable and still largely unpatched. This is why enterprises and governments are moving to zero trust systems, which we will discuss further in another video. The bottom line, if your communications are tied to a public phone number, especially one known to have been leaked, you are exposed to SS7 attacks, SIM swapping, and endpoint surveillance. Period. And if your secure network is a random home Wi-Fi setup you personally described as a, quote, dirty internet line, end quote, game over. How bad is this really? Short answer, really bad. We're not talking about encrypted chats between friends. We're talking about live planning of kinetic military strikes carried out over unsecured home networks by people who were warned and shrugged it off, using devices and accounts vulnerable to interception, spoofing, and identity theft. Imagine if a foreign adversary had been listening in. Imagine if they had advance notice of a U.S. strike. Imagine the civilian casualties, the diplomatic fallout, the loss of strategic surprise. This isn't hypothetical anymore. This is what happens when cybersecurity is treated like an optional suggestion instead of an operational requirement. My own home network is more secure. And look, I'm just some cybersecurity guy on YouTube, but even my home network is better protected than what Pete Hegseth apparently had. I run pfSense with pfBlocker NG, filtering malicious domains and IPs. I have Suricata providing active IDS intrusion detection systems and IPS intrusion prevention systems defense. I have segmented VLANs isolating devices into different security zones. I patch firmware religiously, and sensitive traffic goes through VPNs and encrypted overlays, many of which I've set up myself, not through another third-party vendor, and this is just my house, not a location where national security plans are being discussed. I have my home lab for my own education to further my career. This isn't something I'm telling you that you should do, but it's a fun hobby on top of my career that I do. When the head of the DoD's informal back channel isn't even keeping pace with the home lab, that's not just embarrassing, that's terrifying. The bigger picture is the failure of culture. SignalGate isn't just a fluke. It's a cultural rot. Convenience over security. Personal networks over government networks. Encryption used as an excuse to erase accountability, not protect against enemies. This latest chapter proves what we've been saying since part 1. They didn't stumble into these failures, they chose them. And unless there are consequences, this won't be the last time. And I don't just mean in Trump's administration, I mean for the entirety of government and future administrations. If you're as frustrated about this as I am, share this video. Like, subscribe, and check the description for all the ways you can stay connected. Join my Discord where we talk about cybersecurity daily. Follow me on Mastodon, Blue Sky, Matrix, and TikTok. Support independent content like this through Patreon, becoming a member on YouTube, or by grabbing some merch. Links are all below. And seriously, protect your devices, protect your data, and for the love of cybersecurity, do not plan military operations over your dirty home Wi-Fi. Happy hacking. See you in the next one.